Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby, where we will continue our journey with Uncle Wiggily. Story 13, Uncle Wiggily and the Birdseed. Uncle Wiggily, are you going anyplace special this morning? Asked Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy, the housekeeper muskrat lady, as she came out in the yard where the rabbit gentleman was giving his airship a drink of molasses, so it would not sail too fast. Anywhere special? Repeated Uncle Wiggily, sort of thoughtful like. Why, no, Nurse Jane. To tell you the truth, I am merely going for a little sort of vacation sail around the clouds, and perhaps I may find an adventure. Did you want me to do anything for you, Miss Fuzzy Wuzzy? Why, yes, if you will be so kind, replied the muskrat lady, as she tied her tail in a double bow knot so that it would not drag on the floor when she was sweeping. I wish you would stop at the drugstore, Uncle Wiggily, and get me some bird seeds. My pet cat is hungry and I want to feed it. Very well, I will get the bird seed for you, spoke the rabbit gentleman politely, though I never before heard of feeding it to a cat. Never, he said, slowly wagging his ear to and fro. Well, I have a reason for it, said Nurse Jane. You see, my cat used to catch and eat the dear little birds, and that made me feel sad. So I thought perhaps if I could teach my cat to eat birdseed instead of the birds, it would be better. And so I did. And now Muffins, my black cat, would rather have bird seeds to eat any day than the dear birds that sing so sweetly. A fine idea, cried Uncle Wiggily. I wish more cats ate birdseed. I will get you a large package at the drugstore. So, off Uncle Wiggily started in his airship, the electric fan at the back, by which it was pushed along through the clouds, going around whizzy-izzy, as fast as an egg beater. Oh, Uncle Wiggily, where are you going? Asked Billy Bushytail, the boy squirrel, in the top of a tall tree as a rabbit gentleman sailed over it in his airship. Please give me a ride, begged Billy. I will give you a ride as far as your school. You and your brother Johnny, said Uncle Wiggily kindly. Then I must sail on to the drugstore to get the birdseed for Nurse Jane. Oh, is she going to plant the birdseed in the garden and raise canary birds? Asked Johnny, as he scrambled up to the top of the tree to hop in the airship and get a ride. No. Nurse Jane is going to feed it to her cat, which eats birdseed instead of birds, replied the rabbit gentleman as he called, "Whoa!" to his airship and made it stand still long enough for Billy and Johnny to hop in from a tree branch. I wish you could teach cats to eat squirrel seed instead of squirrels, spoke Johnny. Once, a cat ate up a little red squirrel, who was our cousin. Ah, that was too bad, cried Uncle Wiggily. I will see if the drugstore man has any squirrel seeds. Off he started in the airship again, taking Billy and Johnny to the Hollow Stump School. Near there, Uncle Wiggily stopped his ship close to the top of another tall tree, and into that the squirrel boys leaped, scrambling down to the ground just in time for their lessons. Well, the rabbit gentleman reached the drugstore all right and bought the birdseed for Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy. And now, have you any squirrel seed? Asked Uncle Wiggily as he told why he wanted it. I only have nuts for squirrels to eat, said the elephant gentleman who kept the drugstore. You might call that squirrel seed. Well, I'll take some, said Uncle Wiggily, And if we cannot teach cats to eat nuts instead of the dear little squirrels, I can give the nuts to Billy and Johnny. They'll eat them anyhow. So, with the bird seed and the nuts, the rabbit gentleman set off once more in his airship. He had not sailed very far before he felt himself growing sleepy. Oh, cried Uncle Wiggily with a yawn. I think I will sail down to the ground and take a nap. It would not be safe to go sailing about up in the air while asleep. I might run into a thunderstorm and break something. So he guided his airship down to earth, and in a nice shady place in the woods, the rabbit gentleman tied his clothes basket to a tree so he would not sail up and away when he was asleep. And then he began to dream. After a while, he awakened, feeling much better. And when he had stretched his ears and twinkled his nose, he said, "Well now, I guess I'll sail home again." But when he loosed the ropes that held his airship fast, it would not rise up, as it always had done before. "What in the world can be the matter?" asked Uncle Wiggily, and then he looked at the bunch of toy circus balloons that used to raise his airship off the earth. And every balloon was as flat as a pancake. All the hot air had gone out of them. "Ah, no wonder I could not rise," cried Uncle Wiggily. "I must blow up my balloons." But when he tried, he found the balloons so full of holes that no air would stay in them. A bad lot of mosquitoes had come along while Uncle Wiggily slept and had punctured holes in the rubber balloons and let out the air, and they were all spoiled. "Oh dear," cried Uncle Wiggily. "What shall I do? I never can sail home in my airship." Then he happened to think of something. "I have it," he cried. "I will scatter some bird seeds on the ground. A lot of birds will see it and come to eat it, and I will ask them all to take hold of my airship in their bills at once and raise me up by fluttering their wings. Then they can fly home with me and my airship." So Uncle Wiggily did this. He scattered some of the bird seed on the ground, and Dickie Chip Chip, the sparrow boy, and some robins and bluebirds, more than 1,000 of them, came to eat the seeds. And when the birds had eaten them, Uncle Wiggily asked, "Will you please fly home with me and my airship, for my lifting balloons are full of holes?" "Indeed we will, and that right gladly," answered the birds politely. So they lifted Uncle Wiggily and his airship up in their bills, and with their fluttering wings bore him safely home. And there was bird seed enough left for Nurse Jane's cat. But the cat would not eat the nuts, so Johnny and Billy Bushytail had them to crack. And that's all to this story. However, if the rooster in our backyard doesn't crow so loudly that he makes the alarm clock jump off the mantel, I'll tell you next about Uncle Wiggily and the baby rabbit. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby. I hope you all have a good night and sweet dreams.